Before we get started, I have to first and foremost thank Sherry Cooper. Good morning, Sherry. Please know that your increasing breakfast reports make me so hungry now. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. Here we are. It's another week, and we survived the hurricane, and here we are. It's Monday morning. It's October 24th, and I hope everybody that was here or in Nayarit is doing okay. Fortunately, Puerto Vallarta fared we did okay. Nayarit, not so much. We'll have some photographs to share, but I do hope everybody is doing good this fine morning, Monday morning. And for me, it is a pleasure to spend some time with you as always. And as always, we welcome friends that are watching for the first time live with us to let us know that you're watching live so that we can give you a nice little welcome. If there's something truly important that you wish to share, it helps a great deal if you add a capital letter Q at the beginning of your comment. We will look for those Qs during our comment section later on. Today, for the most part, we have show and tell photographs that I've gathered from different sources, which we will credit properly, of course, so that you can get a better sense as to what went on in Puerto Vallarta as far as Hurricane Roslyn is concerned. Some photos from Nayarit. We have a couple of other bit of news. Some great news about Day of the Dead events, both here and in Guadalajara. And a food for thought, something for us to ponder as we move forward in this upcoming season here in Puerto Vallarta. Just food for thought. So let us get, I need to put my buttons in the right place. My iPad is not even configured. There's the button that I'm looking for. Let's go. Well, as you know, Roslyn has left the building. Hurricane Roslyn passed near Puerto Vallarta as a Category 4 hurricane early Sunday morning at around 5 a.m., damaging some businesses along the city's boardwalk. But fortunately, there were no casualties reported. As I mentioned earlier, I've gathered some headlines from local and national sources to give you some appreciation of how things played out for our city. Starting with these images that are from the Malecon 2 section near where Licks is located. In some areas, the wind was strong enough to bend iron curtains and remove sandbags from one place to another. Here is another view of the same storefronts right along the extension of the Malecon, and yet another view here. Then we have this car in Calle Francia on Francia Street in Versalles. This car was not so lucky. There is a dead tree right next to a bank right around the corner from Medina Asensio. The dead tree decided, okay, I'm going with a bang, and it landed on top of this beautiful red car, which is no longer beautiful, unfortunately. A favorite restaurant for many of us, Barracuda in Cinco de Diciembre, did suffer considerable damage. Unfortunately, my heart goes out to Carlos and his staff, and I hope they can be back in business sometime in the near future. And then, of course, Playa Joli, which was already damaged due to the Pitillal River current, was further affected by the hurricane. The current on the Pitillal River was increased due to all the rain. And the Quale River, the stream also reached 80% of capacity around the newly built Insurgentes Street Bridge, which turned out to be probably a good test for the recently constructed protection walls that were built along the river in that part of the city. Things were worse, unfortunately, in the state of Nayarit, where intense rains caused severe flooding right on the highway, Highway 200 around the Flamingos area, limiting traffic and causing delays during the day. Yesterday, some friends commented, excuse me, some friends commented on this, and we were wondering whether the water coming from the ocean could be so high, and of course it cannot be, because between the ocean and this part of the highway, there's a whole bit of land in between. I think this is just a matter of bad drainage along the highway. And then, of course, further north in the state of Nayarit, things got worse, particularly in the municipality of Santiago Ixcuintla, where the hurricane touched land at approximately 6:20 in the morning. The beautiful island and magical town of Mezcaltitan suffered major damage, and regretfully, 3 deaths were registered in the state of Nayarit. But again, now it is Monday, and our city is back in business as if nothing happened. But of course, something happened, and let us hope that this is indeed the end of hurricane season, and let us hope that as we move forward, the weather will continue to improve and we will get away from hurricane weather and humidity. In other news, authorities have informed that the murder of CEPAL director Salvador Llamas in Guadalajara last week was carefully orchestrated, and it involved at least 10 people pretending to be restaurant guests, including the person directly responsible for the murder, who was actually dining with the former CEPAL director. Authorities also claim that they have identified the perpetrators, and of course, we will continue to read more details about this bit of news as it unfolds. And now, before we move on to our more leisurely stuff, I would like to do a food for thought. Yesterday, I went out and spent some quality time with friends in the afternoon. And then I was walking home. These are friends that live just around the corner. And I was walking home, and I thought to myself, I did go shopping for groceries and I could prepare my dinner, but, I just don't want to cook dinner today. So I stopped by Gina's restaurant, Whiskey Kitchen, and ordered myself some pasta to go. And it turned out to be the perfect dinner for me. I had a glass of wine at the restaurant while I was waiting for my pasta to be ready. I came home and I had a lovely dinner, and I decided to post about it on Facebook, something along the lines of this: it's so nice to live, in a place where there's a reliable restaurant right around the corner. And one of the comments that was shared by one of you caught my attention, and it was this comment: I have never had a more horrible dining experience than with Whiskey Kitchen. And I read it a couple of times, and I thought to myself, well, first and foremost, it is an honest, direct message I have no problem with that. Quite the contrary. I am grateful that this person felt comfortable enough to share such an eloquent statement in the wall of our Facebook page. But, and I'm going to leave it there. But I have to wonder just how useful is a comment like this. I wonder what the person's intent was in sharing a comment like this. I wonder if the person that posted it feel feels better about it or not. I will be the first person to say that I have had questionable dinners in restaurants all over Puerto Vallarta, and I have had questionable dinners at Whiskey Kitchen as well. But to just say that you had a horrible experience somewhere and leave it at that doesn't really help anyone improve. You know what I mean? I wonder if this person's expectation is that the restaurant owner, in this case Gina, but it could be anyone, will reach out and make things better just like that, or what? As of late, when I have found that I didn't like something, rather than saying it was a horrible experience at the restaurant, I'd rather say it was not for me. If somebody asks me why was it not for you, then of course I'm happy to answer that question. But it bumps me out when we are not more productive in our comments. And I think about this a lot. Again, I hold nothing against this person, but I have to wonder if we are doing the best service to ourselves, to our community, to our destination by just posting something like that without having the opportunity of commenting with the owner or reaching out to the owner, or closing the dots, connecting the dots, closing the circle. And again, I don't want to harp on this, but I do want to invite our friends, members of this community. It's okay. Restaurants make mistakes, businesses make mistakes, but a lot of times these mistakes may happen without the business even realizing that it's happening. And if we don't do our share, then the business is not going to be better. Now, we can always opt to say, well, that was not for me, I'm not going back. Fair enough. But then do you really have to toot it out loud like this person tooted it? So that's my food for thought. Again, I want Coffee and Headlines to be as free for you to say what's on your mind, provided that nobody gets hurtful in the process of commenting. And my wish is that as we move forward, I know that I certainly will be more careful with the way I comment on negative experiences that I have. This is all I have for that. Let us now switch over to the weather and continue with the broadcast. This is one of the sunniest fucking days we've ever seen from the standpoint of sun rays. That's what snarky weather has to say, but that's not important to me. What's important to me is that it's only 24 degrees right now. This is about as low as it's gotten. Um, and I'm very happy for that. Humidity is at 93%. Our temperature in Fahrenheit degrees is 74. And our weather forecast for today says humid and mostly cloudy through the day with a high of 29 and a low of 21. Tomorrow, Tuesday, another humid and partly cloudy day with a high of 29 and a low of 20. And on Wednesday, humid and partly cloudy with a high of 29 and a low of 19. So there you have it. Our weather is finally becoming autumny, but very slowly. Again, the switch, as we call it, the switch to fall weather, humid-free or humid-less weather is right around the corner. We can feel it any day now. Now, let me also share news of more Day of the Dead stuff, starting with the parade in Guadalajara City. This is not in Puerto Vallarta. This is in Guadalajara City. And I mentioned this just in case you happen to be in Guadalajara. I have some friends that are going to be in Guadalajara, including, of course, our dear friend, amiga Luisa and her husband. So the parade in Guadalajara is going to be on Saturday, October 29th, starting at 4 p.m. And if you want more details about where it starts, where it ends, etc., please refer to this article. But now, closer to home, of course, I heard about the new Art Vallarta Museum Day of the Dead event, which is going to be on Friday, this coming Friday, October the 28th. In years past, Art Vallarta has had a big Day of the Dead shindig at the school, not at the museum. But of course, the museum didn't exist at the time. Now I have found out that the exhibition and event has moved over to the brand new museum, or the relatively new museum. There's going to be an exhibition of altars and Day of the Dead related art. There's going to be a costume ball. There's going to be live music, a taco bar for 160 pesos. And this is all happening this coming Friday. If this event is anything like past events organized by Art Vallarta, this is going to be one of those events you may not want to miss. So there you have it. Now let's take a quick look at your comments just to see what everybody is up to today. Cue the comment music. And here we go. Lots of good mornings as always, and it's great to read you. Hoping everyone in Puerto Vallarta is dry and safe, says John. Again, John, the good news is that we didn't suffer a lot of damage here in the city, and that's a good thing. Let's see. Tuti. More good mornings, and more good mornings. Audio feed is fast and slow today. Good for you. Let's see what else. More good mornings. And more good mornings. And more good mornings. Lucy. Lucy is here, and our friend Joshua is here. I see that you guys have organized another event, handicraft event coming up. I believe, I forget when it's happening, but I saw the invitation. We will mention it before the event takes place. And this is an event by Hecho a Mano PV. These are great arts and crafts events that we've been mentioning and that we attended. We attended the last one, but unfortunately, when the last one was happening, I was already having this gray cloud on top of my head, so I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as I would have wanted to. But I look forward to the next one. Oh my goodness, good to run into you outside of La Comer, more handsome in person. Good heavens. Yes, I went shopping at La Comer on Saturday, and I ran into some people that recognized me. It's always a pleasure to run into people that watch Coffee and Headlines. There's a question here. Who cleans the beaches after a storm such as last week, owners or state? It's the government, Ronald, that takes care of the beaches. The beaches, of course, are public property, so it is the government's responsibility. That said, of course, if you have a business located in front of the beach or near the beach, needless to say, it is your responsibility. But it's so interesting to see how in past instances of hurricanes, a lot of people just pitch in to help. So it's always nice to know that. Horrible mess, but thankfully Licks and all other stores on the Malecon are okay, and the people unhurt. This is definitely the case. This surprises me, but thank you for that, Marie. El Barracuda was actually open for dinner last night. Unbelievable. That's good to hear. And in fact, it makes me feel compelled to go and have a meal at El Barracuda. sometime in the near future just to show some support. More good mornings, more good mornings. Harold, who goes up and down Highway 200 fairly frequently, comments that part of 200 is a low spot that floods every time it rains along the higher section of 200, and it all drains to an undersized drain every year. That's a bummer. Hopefully they will improve that sometime in the future. Then I see your comments about the restaurant mentioned and about the restaurant incident. Everyone has their own standards in food, but a negative experience needs to be addressed to the owner. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Well, again, Paula, I totally side with what you're saying. And if I choose not to bring it up to an owner, I also choose not to, just throw something like that online without further explanation. But that is just me. Sean, who is a business owner in town, says if someone is going to leave a comment like that, it is not helpful. Without specifics, it's just a troll throwing poop. I would tend to agree, which leads me back to my reflection on the incident. I wonder what this person was hoping to achieve. Let's see what else we have. I have had questionable dinners at many restaurants, but it wasn't the restaurant or service, but rather what I ordered. It could be one or the other. It could be many things that just combine, or it could be a lot of things. But again, the issue here is, what do we do about that? What do we do with that experience or with that information to turn it into something positive, or even better, something nourishing? This is just as helpful as someone saying they had a wonderful dinner someplace and leaving it at that. Don't get me started, Evan, because that makes me think of so many reviews that I read, for example, of music performances here in town that say, Joe Blow's vocals were spellbinding. And you're left wondering, okay, well, that's good to know, but what made them spellbinding? Let's see what else. Personally, I ignore reviews that are not specific. I appreciate that, Terry, but I wonder if other people just get worked up with them. And then, that's where negativity comes from. When somebody says, I had a bad experience, then, if somebody else starts saying, well, I had one too, and then another one says, I had one then, then I just don't want that kind of comment going on here at Coffee and Headlines. My first reaction always is that someone who posts vague statements may work for a competitor. Maybe not. Who knows? Again, I go back to my initial reaction. How useful is a comment like that to anyone? Let's see. There's a question. When is the date for the Fiestas de Octubre in Guadalajara? I think Fiestas de Octubre are almost over because the month of October is almost over. Let's see. Here's how oh my God, this is so helpful. Thank you, Meggie, as in Peggy. Just saying you had a horrible experience is very self-serving when you don't offer any details. Your most horrible can be someone else's awesome. And I'm going to hold on to that last statement, which I absolutely love. Your most horrible can be someone else's awesome. And that's why I say it's not for me. And it's somebody, if I go somewhere and I don't enjoy it, but I see a lot of people having a blast, then it's clearly something that was not for me. And I will leave it at that. If it made some other people happy, well, that is absolutely wonderful. I read an article yesterday. AMLO announced that the Maya train will be completed by the end of 2023. Yes, that has been the general information that we have, although we don't have anything more specific than that. Has Highway 200 reopened? Well, it was never closed, Chris. It was just narrowed down to 2 lanes instead of 4. So I don't know exactly what is going up there, but I do know that you can get through one way or another. Da 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 da. I want to go to Barracuda too. Yay! Yes, let's all go to Barracuda. Not in a big bunch, but this is a time. This is a great way to support a restaurant that is struggling. And I'm sure that Barracuda, which they're such a great restaurant. I mean, they can use the help. We can all use the help. Some people have no filter when commenting or talking, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, Elizabeth. Not having a filter can be a very good quality, but there has to be some responsibility behind the words that come out of our mouths or our keyboards. Let's see. Sage and I want to go all out and paint our faces for Day of the Dead, but we really would like to, but we don't want to cause trouble culturally. Ashley, unless you go out and doing something against the law, you are not going to cause any trouble culturally. I'm surprised we're seeing a lot of these comments this year. Painting yourself with a skull face, a Katrina face, is not going to offend anyone here in Mexico. It's what people do, both nationals and visitors and folks from other countries. You will not cause any trouble. You will see an increasing number of places this week where you can actually paint your face. So go at it and enjoy yourselves and have a really fun Day of the Dead. Let's see. There's another cue. Maybe it was at the other whiskey kitchen that closed. Who knows, Chris? I don't know. And again, the bottom line is not even about Whiskey Kitchen in my book. The bottom line is how our comments bear a certain responsibility that some of us choose to address in a more productive way. Other people not so much, and how nice it would be if we all became a little bit more nurturing in that regard. Maybe I'm expecting too much, but I have to put the idea out there. Highway 200 was closed north of La Cruz due to big mudslide. Detour around it through Sayulita. Thank you very much for that, Harold. And this, my friends, brings us to the end of Coffee and Headlines. I hope you have a great week. I know that I'm going to have a great week. I'm going to continue to keep track of Day of the Dead events as they continue to be announced. And of course, there's other things that I'm looking forward to this week that you will learn about in due time. But between now and then, I hope you will come back soon. I hope you will have a great day today. And I hope you will stay in touch. Have a good one.